For more than 2 decades, I have written in a diary almost every single day. And guess what? I saved them all. Each week, I will be reading from these archives and getting to know myself from the lens of my 10, 16, 25, and 36-year-old self. We'll explore big topics such as body image, queerness, divorce, addiction, mental health, and friendship. I'll read cringy poems and attempt to find compassion for the painful tenderness of my younger self. Join the drama of me and my guests as we explore our boy-crazy, closeted, angsty selves, one stupid page at a time. Hello, beautiful humans. Thank you so much for being here. We are going down a road today, a bumpy road, a road. I hinted at it in not my most recent episode, because if you listened to the last episode, I had a special recording for the last episode about my sweet dog, Nowie. But in the episode before that, episode 20, Codependency 101, I hinted at the end of that episode that sometime in 2004, which is where I'm picking up these diaries, I do cocaine for my first time. And I think I was 16. And these next couple diaries describe my... what would I call it? I don't know if I want to call it a spiral, because at the time it felt so normal to be a teenager doing drugs. But I recognize that for some folks listening, maybe especially if you have teenagers at home or preteens or young kids, and it's really hard to imagine that that is the norm. I want to just say that it's not always the norm, and it doesn't have to be the norm, but for me, it was very much the norm. So part of this is because I think growing up in a small town really impacts what, how I was spending my time. I think a lot of parents hope that their kids will get into, extracurricular and sports and all that stuff. But I was spending all my time at that age partying, and there was a lot of other kids that were kind of doing the same. And so that was one factor, just where I grew up. And another factor was things at home were getting really, really bad. So I've mentioned a little bit in episodes past, my mom was severely depressed and undiagnosed bipolar, or maybe she had been diagnosed by then, I'm not sure, but certainly very depressed, and was voicing her disdain of her marriage to me often. And my dad had become so reclusive and angry, and everything felt like a ticking time bomb at home. And so I didn't really like being home. At this time, around this time, or a few years before this, I had also, my OCD disorder either began or was exploding. And so I had a lot of OCD tendencies at that time that were undiagnosed, untreated. I was unaware that that's what they were. But basically, being at home in such a chaotic environment was really tough on me, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And so I was gone from home every moment that I could. So between work and school and being in this relationship that was very codependent, I spent very little time at home. But that also enabled my drug use, because my parents really had no idea, or if they did, they didn't think it was as bad as it was, of course. So yeah, it was a hard season of life, and it was a fun season of life, but mostly I think it was hard. just to give a little recap on what was happening in the last couple diaries that I read from 2003, 2004, when I'm in this relationship with this boy who's a couple years older than me. I've lost my virginity to him. We're spending all our time together, and we're on this roller coaster, this toxic roller coaster of fighting, where basically we fight, we make up, we fight, we make up, and so on and so forth. But the fights are doing two things. One, they are wearing me down, wearing down my self-confidence, certainly wearing down the confidence in us as a couple. And the other thing that's happening is that they are causing me to question if I want to be in the relationship at all. And so there's more of that to come in this episode. I think this is probably a pretty bumpy ride of an episode, and if drug use and descriptions of drug use are not something that you want to listen to right now, definitely skip this one. But I'm so glad that you stopped by, and I hope for everyone who sticks around, I hope you enjoy the episode. Sending everyone's heart a little bit of extra love as you navigate life this month and as you listen to this episode, and also sending a lot of love out to 16-year-old me who had no fucking idea what was in store for her. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to be picking up from kind of where I left off. This is August 25th, 2004. This entry starts the last few days I basically lived with Gert. His parents are gone for a week and it's been wonderful. Friday night it was Dad's birthday. Then I went to Katie's. Sarah was there. We hung out for a while. Then I went to Gert's. I think he was mad at me because I came so late, but he warmed up to me quickly. We just fucked around, got high, had fun. He was sad because I was tired and he wanted to stay up late, so we ended up having an idea. Want to go watch Scarface and drink beer? Apparently that was our genius idea. That's weird and funny. Haha, so we did that and it was actually a lot of fun. The best part of the night was handcuffs. We found a way to attach them to his bed and it was so sexy and amazing. I loved it. This makes me uncomfortable because, well, one, I'm so young and also, like, so new to sex. And also I can tell that I'm, like, I can tell my writing language when I'm, like, not wanting to say more, you know? And I wish I would have said more because I am curious to know how I actually felt about that in the moment. I'll keep going here. So on Saturday night, we didn't do much. In the morning, made eggs, watched TV. Sometime in the afternoon, we walked to my house to visit Omi and Opie because they were visiting. It was good to see them, but I don't think they liked Gert. Like, duh. Okay, so we had burgers and hot dogs. We sat down for dinner. We had burgers and hot dogs. Omi and Opie were eating Palm Hearts, and me and Gert were playing video games on Mom's iPad. Me and Gert watched TV, but then Gert felt sick, so we went back to his house. We headed over to Gourlay's kegger. Turned out the keg was free because they had two. It was amazing. Me and Gert drank, made a bet to see who could drink more, talked to a bunch of people. Even Genevieve drank. It was so good to see her like that. We all got drunk and just had fun. A rare occurrence these days. So yeah, that's just kind of what's, you know, we're spending this like domesticated week together because his parents are away. So we're taking full advantage of that. I'm trying to spend time with my family, but I'm also like kind of wrapped up in being a teenager at this time. Okay, so what happens next? So, and then it's Monday. Monday night, Gert gets a phone call. Then when I ask who it was, he says, it's Dave. He's coming over to deliver our Coke. Heh, weird surprise. Our Coke? I didn't know that Gert was doing drugs. I knew that he'd done it a time or two because he's always told me about it, but I didn't know it was a regular thing. I also didn't know that he was expecting me to partake. I started feeling really nervous as we waited for Dave to come over, but I didn't really share much with Gert. He asked me what was wrong a few times, but I just said nothing as I tried to navigate my thoughts by myself. Okay, so this is how Coke was introduced into my life. I definitely remember, I'll read this next part, but most of what I remember about that evening was, I was really scared to do a drug other than weed for my first time. And I was really... no doubt about it, I felt peer pressure because I definitely felt like I couldn't or shouldn't say no. And I was also excited because from what I knew of hard drugs was that this was going to maybe be my key out of all these big feelings that I was having. I didn't know that for sure, but I suspected it. So then this next part's short. I say Dave eventually came over. Him and Gert both took their lines and we all hung out. I didn't really feel well, so I waited to do mine. Dave got impatient and left, and then Gert rolled up a bill, handed it to me, and said, "Go nuts." Despite my nerves, I bent down and took my line too. It was amazing. I felt like my insides were smooth like peanut butter. It made me feel really horny, and we had sex pretty much every possible position. Yeah, again, this is disturbing to read, and it's... I wish I would have said more about it, for sure. I can sense my nervousness, but I also, like I said, because I didn't write more about it, I have more questions than answers, I think, but maybe as I keep reading, those questions will be explained. The recreational drug use continues, and I start experimenting with some other stuff. There's kind of a funny entry where we do mushrooms. I do kind of I definitely do remember this, but this was probably one of the hardest trips I'd ever had, and and writing about it was again, I wish I could have explained it better, but basically I said I met up with Gert at 8 and we came back home to take the shrooms. We sat in my room waiting for them to hit us. Haha, it was awesome. When they did, they were so strong. I've never been buzzed like that. We sat around my room with my blacklight on looking at stuff. Then we went downstairs and watched Akira. It's a Japanese anime, and oh my god, the trips I had from that movie. It was the trippiest movie I've ever seen. I was so fucked and so tripped out. I totally do not remember the plot at all. All I remember was sitting there for 2 hours just saying whatever came to my mind. Haha, I loved it. I walked Gert halfway home. I honestly did not want to leave him because I was just so fucked up, and I just wanted to talk to him. Oh, to be young. So yeah, just me and my boyfriend in my room, taking a bunch of mushrooms, watching anime, and, having the time of my life, I guess. is, you know, trippy and awesome and wonderful. There's ups and downs. September 14th, I write, sighs. I don't even know what to do with myself. I feel so left out by my own friends. I know loss is a huge part of growing up, but I hate how I am so aware of every little thing I lose. Like my friendships with Cassie and Amanda, it used to be us three, always laughing and finding a funny situation to get into. Like I remember going to Sarah's and getting high with Amanda and Cassie and Graham and Dave and laughing my ass off the whole time. And I remember how Graham said I would always be his best friend, and now I see him once or twice a year. And it's not just them. I'm also very aware of how Lou treats me differently when he's high or drunk. I know the fact that I am close with... What does that say? I know the fact that I can't read that sentence. I know the fact that I am close to... Looks like it says situation, but... a situation constantly on my mind. I also see Jer and everybody else so much less these days. Even Katie, I was with her for 2 hours and I almost exploded on her. She said she was getting an ounce of mushrooms. Who knows, maybe I was jealous. I was really looking forward to the fair. But now knowing that nobody even wants me around makes me not even want to go. I hate myself today, and the pill is making me fat. Well, fatter. So yeah, not being very kind to myself. But there are, other just little life things going on, school, work. I'm starting school again, or I'm in school again. There's a Thorndale Fair that's happening that I'm very excited about. Again, toggled between these two worlds of being a kid and then doing very grown-up things as well. This goes on until September 19th. I say, Gurnt and I made a deal last night because I told him last night once and for all that if this keeps going on, he's going to lose me. Every Saturday turns into a fight and I'm sick of it because that's not us. We don't fight, except we always forget that come Saturday when things get complicated. I went shopping yesterday. I bought a nice green sweater and chocolate-covered honey roasted peanuts for Gurnt. I wore my tie-dye pants, got so many weird reactions. Cassie and I met up because we were at White Oaks. It was weird being with her. She talks a lot about kicking people's ass. I don't know. I'm glad we are civil, and I'm glad she's getting me Coke. So then I went to Fraser's, knowing that Gurnt was there. It was just me and him hanging around because Jenny and Fraser were inside doing it. So we sat across at the park across from the store, and we're just hanging out. It was natural, like we were the best of friends. He ate the peanuts I gave him and thanked me. We talked about our days. Then we were going to go over to get Lou, but his dad said that he was at Jay's, so we left to go, or I said we should go, and Gurnt just wouldn't. He refused to. So I made a big fuss and told him he was being difficult, and we argued about it all the way to Fraser's. By the time we got to Fraser's driveway, I was yelling. Not at him, but just at what he was saying. You won't come with me, so I can't see Jay, and I never see A anymore, and I feel like I'm losing all my friends, and it's all your fault. I felt bad about doing that, but when we got to the porch and found out there was going to be a party, it made things better. The party was fun, a lot of fun. I had a few beers. I talked to Miller, watched him jam, made jokes, talked to Adam, complimented Ware on his shrooms. Everything was fine. Great, actually. Me and Gurnt couldn't stop making out, and I was having such a good time. But then shit happened. Fraser accidentally grabbed my boob, And then later, when I went over to Gurnt to hug him, he pushed me off of him and called me a slut in front of everyone. I threw my beer in his face and walked up to the house. I was so mad, seething. Not just at Gurnt. I was mad at everybody. At Jenny for going to bed early, and at everyone else for abandoning me. I went back to the fire and argued with Gurnt for a while until we decided to just go. We stopped halfway up the driveway. I think I was pretty drunk. I remember being up by the pool and him pushing me off him, but I pushed him back against the pool and told him I wasn't leaving. I'm sorry for ruining your life. You didn't ruin it. You made it. I was crying really hard, I think, telling him he made an ass out of me, made me look like a bitch. Told him he does this every Saturday. The walk back to his house was long and uncomfortable and sad. Remember what I said about me losing all my friends? Well, you know what makes me really sad about all of that? It's that it's not even true. It's not that my friends are mad at me for not being around. They just stopped liking me. It's so sad. What am I going to do? I hate this. How can I stop it? We finally got to his house. I slowed down walking up his driveway, and he said, please stay with me. So I went in, straight to his room. I undressed automatically. I was in my new green lingerie, but I wasn't up for impressing him, so I just crawled under the blanket. I think that made him sad, so I told him, take off your pants and turn off the light and come to bed. He was sad and maybe even whimpering a little, and even though I was crying, I was too sad to even let him hold me. I fell asleep. We both woke up around 7. He looked over at me and kissed me, and I don't even know why I didn't want to pull away. So eventually he was on top of me, kissing me inside me. It felt good because it was slow and intense and mellow. Afterwards, he lay on me and said he was sorry about everything, and we had a long talk. Next weekend will be perfect, Yoda. We'll go to Jay's and get him and show him a good time, and it'll all be perfect. I fucking hope he's telling the truth. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. Or, like, maybe it was his truth in the moment. Like, he actually believed. I don't know. But, very next day, September 20th. Today was awful. It started out fine. I had a really good time in English. Gert came around, but he wasn't being himself. He wouldn't tell me what was wrong. But then he turned to me and said, you're an E-head, Yoda. A dirty, dirty E-head. I walked away from him and stormed off, actually. Had an awful time in history thinking about it. He was talking about earlier in the morning when Cassie gave me a bag. And Gert was like, is that hash? Is that weed? And I said no. And I guess he assumed right away that it was E. I deked my next class to just sit by my locker. I talked to a friend. Gert finally came up to my locker. I didn't even look at him, although he asked if I was okay. But I just looked all pissed off. We got on the bus without saying a word. He tried to touch me, put his hand on my knee, and I totally 100% rejected it. I took out the Coke and practically threw it at him. Does this look like E to you? I guess he felt bad because the whole bus ride he just said, aw, Yoda, and tried to touch me, and I just cried. As I got off the bus, so he pushed for a kiss that I gave him back. I got off the bus and cried to Mushy until Gert called later. So, over the course of, these 24 hours, he calls me a slut in front of our friends. Then the next day he calls me a dirty, dirty E-head. I don't know why in this scenario, saying that I have a bag of Coke is better than having E. I honestly can't figure that part out. I think Gert is probably mad because he thinks that us, doing Coke is going to be an us thing, and I'm making it, a me and my friends thing. So that's just, the weird world that I'm living in. After that, he asks if he can come over, and we meet halfway between our houses. He hugged me for a real long time and said Yoda, please always love me and never leave me. We hugged and both said sorry. I'm so sorry, he said. I don't want your apologies. I just want to hear that this isn't going to happen anymore. It won't. It'll get better, Yoda. So again, this is literally one day after he's just promised me that. So I don't think it's a huge mystery what's coming. Stay tuned. All right, so we're entering the hard part. September 30th, morning, 7:26 a.m. I can't believe I'm actually nervous about what I'm wearing. Dress pants and a tight black t-shirt. I am totally covered up, but for some reason I am so nervous about if Gurnt will be mad about it. Is there something wrong here? October 2nd. Everything is so bad in my head. Everything makes me so sad. Even though I had the best night and such an awesome day, when I think about everything else, I can't help but cry. Nothing's the same. Everything's changed and nothing's for the better. Nothing makes sense anymore. And there are a few things that make me the few things that make me happy come and go and seem to go more than they come. Everything used to be so much simpler, and now everything is so different. And in some cases, I want to be happy about it, but even then, I can't. The change I see makes me feel like I'm going crazy or something, like I can't stop it. That's what messes with me the most, is that I can't stop it. I can't make myself feel better, except for with drugs and with Gurnt and Jenny. I can't even try anymore. I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired of seeing people change and not give a shit about me anymore. Everything just tears me up inside. Yeah, so that makes me so sad to know that I was just feeling so broken up. And there's this line, you know, I can't make myself feel better except for with drugs. So I haven't talked much in this diary about the amount of drugs that I'm doing or when or where, but I can tell by my writing that I'm starting to do more. A week later, we have a house party. This is not this house party, but this time of year is a very big part of my story. So every year in October, since I was a very small child, a baby even, my family always goes to a cottage up north for the week of Thanksgiving in Canada, which is like the second weekend in October. And it's, for all my life, been such a beautiful and complicated family tradition. Some of my absolute best memories have happened at this cottage. It was always my dad and my mom and my sister and me and my Omi and Opie. Sometimes other family would join us as well, and some traumas happened there too. Some big fights between my parents, some big blow-ups. I learned and saw and heard and experienced and witnessed some things that I was far too young and fragile to be a part of. And 2 years prior, when my sister was in grade 10 and I was in grade 8, was my last year going to the cottage, because we were in high school and my parents somehow believed us when we said we didn't want to miss that much school. So my parents left for a week, which, again, if you're listening and you have a teenager, don't leave them home alone for a week. Don't ever do it. Like, ever. No matter how good of kids they are. So we, of course, threw a huge party, naturally. The year before, my sister had thrown a party, but I was in grade 9 and I wasn't on the drinking, drugging scene quite yet. But by this year, I am a full-blown partier. So we have a party And I write a bit about the party, but mostly I write about how there was like a party in the living room, a party in the kitchen, a party in the basement. And I was kind of holed up in my bedroom doing coke with anyone who wanted to do coke with me. I write, you know, it got pretty crazy here. It was also at times mellow. Everybody seemed like they were happy. I was ripped on coke. It was a crazy atmosphere. It tired down around 3 a.m. and everyone was good and drunk and started to leave. And then the next day I write, the house is a sty. I woke up with a huge headache. Geraint was being strange today. I want to forget this entire day. Waking up and seeing Geraint not even look remotely happy that I was here. And then our shower, he looked like I was the last thing he wanted to touch. Then he would barely speak to me. And I want to forget about him leaving at noon to hang out with his friends instead of me. I'm an idiot. I fucking hate this day. So yeah, that's a very quick turnaround. And I don't have the full scoop of what it was that led him to treat me so poorly the next day. Again, I think it was probably we're both coming off of drugs and alcohol. Anxieties were high. I'm sure something had happened the night before that had provoked him to be angry with me. I don't write about what that is or how we made up, but obviously we did. About a week later, we actually go with his parents to their cottage. And there was an incident. Okay. October 11th, crazy, weird weekend. Friday. I didn't go to school. I stayed home to clean before Mom and Dad came home. Geraint said we would be leaving for his cottage at midnight. Not sure why we're leaving at midnight, but okay. So I went over to Jay's at 4-ish, planning to just stay for a couple hours to hang out with him and Brian. And then funny enough, Dave showed up. Then I got the message that Geraint's parents wanted to leave in like 5 minutes. So I started walking home and Dave ran after me. So we just walked together. We just talked on the way about his demo and the week my parents were away. I was thinking Mom was going to drive past any minute, but then Geraint's mom did. So I side hugged Dave. He looked sad/mad, and I felt really sick to my stomach about it. I think Geraint could really tell something was wrong. So we sat pretty far away from each other for the first 15 minutes of the 4-hour car ride, but then everything went back to normal. And his mom and dad both teased me about having Dave germs on me. I fell asleep on Geraint, and before I knew it, we were there. Okay, so I mean, I can understand why, you know, he might be like jealous. Why both the guys in this situation are upset. I can understand that. So that night, Geraint and I stayed up until 3 a.m. watching movies. His mom intercepts our plans to hook up that night by basically staying awake and watching movies with us. We are forbidden to sleep in the same bed because his parents know that all we do is fuck. So so he's sleeping like upstairs in his bedroom and I'm sleeping in the basement. Okay, so Saturday, Nyla, which is the little one, woke me up early. Ugh. But it was okay because I got to have a nice shower and then I played with Nyla before going to wake Geraint up. We all went up to the main cottage and ate breakfast and just lounged around. It was rainy and so Geraint and I watched TV and relaxed. I thought it was going to be a really fun night, but then something really stupid happened. Me and Geraint got in a fight about something really stupid and it turned into a big fight. And then we both ended up bringing a lot of stuff from the past. We cried and had awkwardness and dinner was terrible because we were both so sad. Can you imagine? Like, imagine being Geraint's parents. He brings this girlfriend with him who Like, they're trying their best to be kind to, but, like, we just keep getting into these wicked fights, and I was probably, like, so mopey and so, like, I just think it's terrible. Right before dinner, when we went inside, I went to the bathroom to make it look like I hadn't been crying. Gert approached me and tried to kiss me. He said, Yoda, I do want you here. I wanted to bring you up here even before we were going out, which I thought was sweet. After dinner, we went back downstairs to talk. Even though it went badly, eventually we decided it was stupid to fight and decided to make things better. We ended up going to his room to have sex. I said I'd do all the work because earlier I'd spilt hot coffee on his lap, and he said it hurt. Oh, poor baby. Gross. So I undressed him and kissed his face a lot. He said it felt so amazing, and he flipped me over and got on top. His brother eventually came downstairs, and we started drinking beer. We smoked a lot of joints and played a game of Monopoly from 8 until 3 in the morning. I was pretty fucked up. I had about 8 beers and smoked a lot of dope. The game was so fun. There was no music, no TV, just the 3 of us having a fucking blast. On Sunday morning, I woke up feeling like total shit, hungover as fuck, and not happy to be woken up so early by Nyla. And then Gert's parents got real mad because in the middle of the night, in a very drunken state, I stole a bottle of rye from the fridge. Like, okay, so basically, yeah, this was a joke in their family that they probably still joke about, like when Gert brought his alcoholic girlfriend to the cottage, because it is true. Gert and his brother and I were in this, like, mini cottage that was, you know, close enough to the main cottage, which is where I slept. And we were partying there, and his parents were probably in bed. And then sometime in my drunken state, I probably blacked out. I went to the main cottage and was, like, rifling around for more booze and just, like, took a bottle of rye that I found. That bottle of rye was supposed to be a gift that they were bringing to, I think, a wedding the next day. So obviously that was really shitty of me. And I think it was, like, a long weekend holiday, so, like, they couldn't replace it and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I regretted it. I apologized. I tried my best to make it right. But again, was probably a joke in their family and probably still is. And I don't blame them. It was pretty shitty. Okay, a couple weeks later, October 23rd, I say, today has been one of the worst days I've had in a really long time. I feel like my insides are crying. I walked home alone again, crying again, just like last Saturday night. This time, though, it wasn't about anything or my own doing. It was Gert. I went to his house at 7. I was so excited to go and was so happy when I saw him. It was the only time I had smiled all day, because all day I'd been so sad. And he took me downstairs, and we laughed and joked and even kissed a little. But then he asked about Katie. He said, she misses you. She doesn't know what she did wrong. I felt like exploding at him. I can't believe he was taking her side, not even trying to see my side of things. And then everything just happened. He asked me why I never talked to him about shit. So I told him why I'm sad, and he just didn't understand. I cried so hard in front of him, and he just didn't care. Instead, he said, seems to me like whenever your girls are around, you are jealous of them, and whenever it's a group of guys, you're fine. So I stormed out. He came after me, but I just kept on walking. I don't know what to do, because I wish I could tell him everything. I wish I could explain to him what's wrong in my head. I wish he could just listen to my words and not accuse me of everything wrong under the sun. Yeah, okay, a couple weeks later, November 8th. Last night was ... different. I went to Fraser's around 7, like me and Gert agreed. We saw Jeremy there. He congratulated me about me and Gert lasting. I didn't think it would, but it's great that it did. I didn't think it would, but it's great that it did. I was cold, so we went inside. Gert came, and I was glad to see him.
Me and Gert agreed that we meet up later because he wanted to leave. He said he'd go home for a bit and come back with some friends. I was pretty surprised when those friends came back without him. I tried to have fun though. Bucket gave me a beer, and then Jay did, and then Ryan did, and then Clayton did. We all hung out on the porch for a while. I feel like I was entertaining people. I was getting pretty drunk and just making people laugh. Later in the night, I walked over to Gert's because it was unlike him that he still hadn't showed, but he wasn't home. So then I just walked back to Fraser's. I was pretty drunk, and so I don't really know what was going through my head, except that I definitely felt ditched. So I chilled with some friends, had some more laughs with everyone on the porch. Then the night kind of ended, and for some reason, Lou ended up walking me to Gert's. I think I was stumbling a lot and talking a lot of shit, but it was a good walk. When I got there, Gert's friend pulled in the driveway, and there he was. Ditched me all right. I walked in drunk and said, "Thanks for meeting me," and all he said was, "No problem." My head was spinning, and so I went to the bathroom and then to Gert's bed. I fell asleep, really quite mad, and Gert came in who knows how long after. He said sorry, sounded like he felt bad, and I just told him, "You didn't show up for me. You didn't show up when you said you were going to, and then you didn't bother to just come to Fraser's and tell me where you were, and then you acted like a total ass, so your friends probably think that I'm the one who's an idiot." We just fell asleep, and in the morning fought more because he said he'd be mad if I slept in another guy's bed because I was explaining how everyone offered me a place to crash. Well, maybe if you hadn't ditched me. We stopped fighting eventually, and he suggested a shower, so I went in. So he went in, and I kind of fell asleep, but I ended up joining him about 10 minutes later. He pushed me against the wall and started kissing me. We went back to his room, ran in without drying. It was crazy, that makeup sex, that being in control sex. We watched some TV, and Gert made me a grilled cheese. We hung out half naked for the rest of the day. So yeah, there's no, this is not how you fight. There's I have no words other than just, like, what? Yeah, it's tricky. It's tough. It's tough to read that. There's this next entry, November 24th, and I just have at the top of the page, I have the word violence, and basically what happened was I saw Gert have just like a meltdown, so I just say we went back to his place to make breakfast. We were actually having a good time. But then as he was pouring his Brita filter, it broke and water just went everywhere. He flipped. Something flipped inside of him. He started smashing it around and acting like a 2-year-old. I told him to grow up and get over it, and he stormed off. So I cleaned it up and then went to his room and told him I had to go. When I was sitting outside, he came out and smashed the water jug, and it shattered. I don't think he knew I was sitting there. But I saw everything, and I could not believe it. I'm not sure that I can unsee it. There's that. Again, I'm sure you know where all of this is going. November 26th. This is one of the last entries in this diary. I say, it's late, midnight. I just got home from Gert's. Sighs. This is the first time I felt any uncertainty about me and Gert. Not true. I don't know how to explain it in any other way. We're not the same as we were in the beginning. Like the day I stayed home from school when we first started, when he called me at 3 o'clock on the dot and told me he missed me. Yesterday I got home and I didn't hear from him all night, and then I had to ask
to ask if he missed me. And just little things, like how he used to kiss me almost every alone minute we had. Now I find most of the kisses I get are the ones that I also give. Maybe it's just that time has passed, or maybe it's all these little fights we've had. The one we had today about me getting my eyebrow pierced, for example. And maybe it's the bigger ones, the ones where I ditch him for my boys, or I write about him meanly. Maybe it's all of that that makes him sort of not care so much to see me cry like he used to. Or maybe it's that we focus too much on TV instead of each other. I don't know what it is, but it scares me. Yeah, so basically the diary essentially ends after that. I have one more thought where I say, I've been thinking, shit, I'm in grade 11. Next year, this time next year, I'll have to start looking at colleges and universities. And I know what I want to do. And I'll have to know what I want to do. Am I going to come back for an extra year? Am I going to take night school? Maybe I'll become a freelance writer. I really want to write a book. Maybe I'll be a chef. I really like to cook, and I have leadership skills. Maybe a teacher or a doctor, because we need more of them around here. Oh, the audacity of that version of me thinking that I could go and become a doctor. That's hilarious. So that is that diary. What do I want to say? A lot of what I wrote in there has surprised me and shocked me. If you are sort of sick about hearing about Gerndt, don't worry, so am I. We are not together for much longer. I will say that. We are together for another 6 months or so. And I wish I could say that when things end between us, it's the end of my hard days, but it's really just the beginning. I will likely fast track the next 6 months because I have a feeling they're just a lot more of the same. A lot more of the fight, the makeup, the fight, the makeup, the fight, the makeup. And like I said, I'm tired of it. I was tired of it then, and I'm tired of it now. So I will end by reading you a couple of poems that I wrote in those days. I have this book that I'll share the image of. I have this book that I wrote in that is just very, very, very emo. So I'm going to read a couple poems from that. Buckle up. Okay. This poem is called The Perfect Drug. Honestly, this poem is pretty fucking good. Like, I'm impressed with my writing at this age. The perfect drug. You're like the perfect drug. Loving you makes me high. But the confusion of all these messed up thoughts makes me sick and makes me cry. At first, I can't stop laughing. Muscles in my face are actually in pain. I smile so much at the dumb things you do. Every sober person probably thinks I'm insane. And maybe I am crazy in love with you. But when I'm inhaling pure happiness, what's a girl to do? At this point, I've taken all I can, and you've passed it on to someone new. You've left me cold and lonely. I'm burning out over you. I'm so tired of thinking. I want to rip out my brain right out of my head. So I take another hit from you and decide to let you win instead. This cycle I go through every single night, the nearness of you and this magical smoke, that's what makes me feel all right. But I fear I'm addicted, and you can't give me what's real. Somehow I get the feeling this is how an overdose might feel. Now I gotta take a break, but at least you made my pain go away. You are my escape, my perfect drug, and I'll think of that every single day. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. and maybe I'll actually leave it there. There's a lot of other poems that I could share, but I think that's actually a pretty decent one to end on. So, like I said, by the end of the next episode, I think we will be nearing, if not out of this relationship with Gert. So I hope that you tune in. I hope that you've enjoyed the episode and everything I've shared today. I am excited to share more, get back into a more regular schedule. If you are somebody who has a bunch of journals lying around from your past that maybe you want to explore and read, I promise it's not as embarrassing as you think it will be, or maybe it is, I don't know, and you want to be a guest on the podcast, please reach out. Also, if you're somebody who wants to build your writing practice, I help writers nurture their writing practice, publish, and finish their books every single day, and I'd love to hear from you. You can find more about me and my work at www.doulaofwords.com. Thanks so much for listening. Big love.